So I hear you. You want to execute on your goals faster, but each time you start making decisions to get things done, you begin second guessing everything, coming up with more options. And before you know it, your brain feels tangled in knots and you can't do anything. Okay? And the truth is that overthinking and speedy execution cannot coexist. And personally, I have been a professional overthinker at different points in my life. And honestly, it sucks. Okay. When you just keep getting trapped in your own head, the what ifs, the worries, all that kind of stuff, it can just drive you nuts because at the end of the day, you feel like you got nothing done, but the whole day you felt like completely stressed out, like you were working your butt off trying to pre-solve everything in your mind. And so the key is understanding how much planning is really enough. Because I think when you get trapped in overthinking, really what it is, it's a matter of underacting. Okay, it's not that your situation's so complex. It's that you're not taking the actions that will give you the information you need to keep going. It's like I want a clear path from here all the way to throwing the ring into the Mount Doom in Mordor. It's like I don't want to have any part that is uncertain along the way. That's what overthinking is. Okay, and it's like I want no risk involved. It's like, you're not going to get that. Okay. You're not. So you got to adopt a much more rugged mentality. You got to be willing to get dirty, get a little messy, but like when you get used to it, it's actually a very repeatable system. Okay. And so I'm going to walk you through the checklist of how to know how much planning you should do and when to start moving. Okay. First thing is, do you know where you want to go at a high level? Okay. Do you have clarity? It's like, this is the general thing I want to have happen. And then do you want that to happen? Like, you feel emotionally invested? Does it logically make sense? It's like, okay, I want to do this with my business. That would feel good. And I think that sounds good. Cool. Good enough. It doesn't need to be perfect. You know, does it just kind of generally hit those check boxes? Fantastic. All right. Don't look for perfect explosions of resonance. Just get something that's good enough. Next step. Do you know the general big milestones to hit along the way? If you don't, like if you can't even get the milestones, then do you at least have an idea of the experiments or the research that you could run to get those milestones? All right. Like I'm talking just like high level things. It's like, oh, this part needs to be built. I need this certification. And then, you know, I need my first client or whatever. Okay. You know, it could be whatever it is, but like, can I break it down to like 3 to 5 big milestones to get to that high level goal? Good. Again, don't overthink it. Now, after that, do you know what your next action is? The thing that you can get started with immediately. What is the number one next step? That's all you need. You don't need the next 20 steps. You just need the next one at minimum. You know, maybe you get 3 to 5 or whatever. Like that's fine too. But like the most important one is the next one. Have you decided exactly what it is? Because if you have that, well, then you have a place to get going. Now, here's where people get screwed up is like, all right, well, what if it goes wrong? Like, isn't it responsible for me to worry about this stuff? Like, cause like, you know, things could go catastrophically bad and I want to protect myself from that. Okay. It's like, yeah, okay. That's not completely wrong. Okay. And so what I do is, all right, let's run a critical failure test. All right. So say this goes all wrong. What could you do? How could you survive? All right. It's like, well, worst case scenario is I could move in with my parents for a little bit to get back on my feet. Or in a lot of cases, when you run the critical failure test, it's like, nothing really that bad happens. It's just like, kind of sucks. I wasted some time, but maybe I learned something. Okay. But just run the critical failure test. And as long as you can get yourself to live with the potential possibility of it, right? Like imagine like if I had to thrive, given that this fails, could I still thrive? Could I create a vision? Could I imagine still coming back and thriving after this doesn't work out? If so, well, then you got it. You're good. Like if you run that critical failure test and it's like, oh, shoot, I get kicked out on the street. My family gets sold into slavery and like I get tortured to death or something like that. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe don't go that path. All right. You failed the critical failure test. Okay. But for most of us, we're going to be able to pass it, and we have to pass it so that we can just put the worry away and be like, all right, even if it doesn't work out, I'm going to be fine. And if it's still scary, at that point, what I'll do is, you know, I can pass the critical failure test, but it feels a little too risky. Well, then the final thing is, can I make it any less risky? Instead of like, for example, doing a full rebrand for your business, what if I just did a little market test? What if instead of completely moving to a new city, can I go like spend a couple weeks in that city and just see how it feels, right? Like, can I make the step smaller and more controlled, remove some of the uncertainty, remove some of the risk, okay? And once you do this, once you've passed that critical failure test, you've got this general idea of where you're going, you got your next actions and stuff like that, you're done. Stop thinking, stop swirling, and then go do that next action you defined, all right? That's the key. That's all you got to do. And guys, they overthink this. They're like, oh, I need this completely mapped out year-long plan with all of these subsystems in place. And it's like, no, like that's a privilege of having a business that's fully optimized. Okay. That's having things really locked in. And if you're not at that point yet, you can't do that. If you are at that point, you're looking to really scale to the next level, and you're really trying to engineer it, sure, that might be part of the process. But for most guys, it's completely unnecessary to get to the next level in what they're trying to do. Okay. So if you're tired of swirling in your head and second guessing every move and watching time slip by, it's time to move differently. And at Frontline Man, we coach entrepreneurial family men to cut through the mental fog, lock in on what actually matters, and move with clarity and speed without burning out or things blowing up, okay? And if you know you want this, but you can't seem to act on it consistently, then click the link in the description to book a free call with us, and we'll help you clear the noise and lock in on your next right move. We really look forward to talking to you, so please book that call, and I'll see you there. Ooh, yeah.